Welcome to episode 3 of Rails, Ales, and Old Towns. I promised you that every now and again we were going to go off the beaten path, and today we're definitely slightly off the beaten path in Graz, Austria. I visited Graz last November for the very first time and fell in love with the city. And today I'm joined by the tour guide who showed me around, Sigrid Alber. We'll talk all things Graz, and she'll also design her dream trip to Europe. Check the show notes because I've popped a link in there to some of the places we talk about. And as always, if you'd like the occasional hit of European travel inspiration, feel free to give me a follow on social media at Scott Hartbeck. All right, enjoy the episode, guys. All right, let's welcome into the podcast Sigrid Alber, an Austrian tour guide with over 30 years of experience showing travelers around Graz and the surrounding region. She specializes in architecture, design, female history, music, and food and wine. Welcome,
Yeah.
Sigrid.
Welcome. Yeah, nice that I can be here.
Really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us about Graz.
Yeah.
So I guess the first thing I'd want to ask you, for people who might not be that familiar with Graz, just to give us an overview of where it is in Austria.
Yeah, Graz is located southeast of the Alps. It's south of Vienna. It takes you about 2.5 hours by train to reach Vienna or from Vienna to Graz. Within 2 hours, we are at the border to Hungary. And within 3 hours by car, we can reach the Mediterranean. It's Piran in Slovenia. Half an hour more and you are in Italy, in Grado. So you have a lot of southern atmosphere here, a lot of southern climate, and Graz is surrounded and blocked off from the bad weather to the north by hills on 3 sides.
So is that what they would say, the sunny side of the Alps?
Yes, I would say so. Yeah, of course, it's my favorite town.
So you mentioned the Mediterranean, and I wanted to ask you, if you're down at the Mediterranean, you're at the beach, and you run into some other people from Austria,
Yes.
what are and you tell them that you're from Graz, what are the first things they're gonna think of about people from Graz and the city? Like, what is Graz known for around Austria?
Graz is known for as second largest city of Austria. We have an old town center, which is World Heritage Site. Meanwhile, we have a second spot that is World Heritage Site, which is the Schloss Eckenberg, the palace of a noble family, to the western outskirts. And the thing about Graz is that you have this fantastic combination of old and new, old architecture, contemporary architecture. You have people being pensioners, but we have 60,000 students in Graz. We've got four universities. We are a city of design. We are a city of culture. We have an opera house. We have a theater. And a lot of people from the surrounding areas in Austria, they also come down to listen to operas or to watch plays at the theater. We are a place for jazz music. We are a place where you have 2 electronic music festivals. So you also have something for the youngsters. And we are culinary capital of Austria. That is, we offer culinary walks.
So is there any reputation that people from Graz have?
Oh, we are easygoing. You feel the southern climate, and it's good to talk to us. And I think the main thing about Graz is if you go to a restaurant, you are among locals, mostly. We haven't got restaurants which are only frequented by tourists like it is in other cities in Austria or even Europe,
So it's that good combination of local, tourist, old,
yes.
new.
Yes, yeah.
But that's definitely something I wanted to mention, that when we arrived at the train station, and hopefully maybe we'll talk on that later about the train ride from Vienna, because it really is an attraction in itself.
Yeah.
And, we were walking from the train station. We were coming down the main road, and, the streets around the train station are just, nothing special, of course. I hope you won't be offended at that. But then as you're coming through the streets, and then you turn this corner, and there was this bright yellow church getting closer to the river. And then from there on, as it unfolded, you would see something like that. And then you would see the Kunsthaus with this, bizarre, interesting, cool architecture. Then you would look up at the hill and you'd see the castle. And then you'd look to your left and you'd see this island in the river. So that you really did get that, mix of old and new that really struck you. A few of the major sites that you would say you have to see when you come to Graz, that you couldn't leave without at least seeing them.
Yeah, whenever you or I go to a new city or come to a new city, I try to reach the highest spot. And we have the advantage in Graz that we have got the Schlossberg, and that this really is the best thing to start with. You even have lifting advices. Because you can use the cable car, or you can use the elevator inside the hill. And from up there, you have a spectacular view of the city. And you can figure out where the old town center is, how the city started to grow and got enlarged. In very many cities, that unless you reach a certain area, you hardly guess how beautiful the city is. And this is important in Graz too. You have to go to one of the inner courtyards, because we are famous for inner courtyards. So the most beautiful one, according to me, is the Landhaus, which is an administration and government building, where you have the parliament of Styria, of this country of Austria, situated. Then you have to go onto the island, because there is a cafe which offers very good cakes and drinks. And then you have to go to the Kunsthaus. But another must is, please go to one of the farmers markets, because talking of regional food or regionality, which is very important nowadays, you have to go to such a market, which is a farmers market. Farmers from the surrounding area of Graz, they sell their homemade products, and you can figure out what we use for our kitchen. And we love to invite friends. And the best thing about the markets is that you don't only go shopping, but you have to sit down, just watch people and the ongoings, and have a drink, because we have wonderful wines or beers. And you can also eat a snack or even lunch or dinner there.
I'd like to circle back because we just briefly mentioned it, but this island in the river, to people who are listening, this isn't a rocky island. This isn't a natural island. This is a architectural wonder that, like, you've probably never seen anything like it before. It's this round circular island in the river. You if you could tell people about this island and what it's like, because it's something else.
2003, Graz was cultural capital of Europe, and we had about 100 or even more projects. And the main project was placing an artificial island on the River Moor. And so Vito Acconci, a New York artist and architect, he had the idea of placing a shell-formed island on the river, which is fixed to one anchor to the north and stabilized by two bridgeways or whatever. And so it rises up and down with the river floods, can rise up to 5.5 meters and then come down again. And it offers you, as I've told you, a cafe, but rather new is a shop for modern design on it, because we are famous for modern design. And in summer, you have open air cinema, and all year long, you have, at least once a week, you have a jazz concert or another concert on the island.
And it's real futuristic. It's just cool.
Yeah,
And
it
this
is.
the Kunsthaus, this is an art gallery as well, is like a jelly bean with what did you say on it? Like little.
Yeah, see, the two British architects, they called it the blue bubble or the friendly alien.
Yeah.
It's something like an UFO that has landed in Graz in 2003. Straight building with corners and precast iron elements forming the iron house. And then this very, as you said, futuristic bubble with a media wall towards the inner city, towards the other side of the river, because at night you have more than 900 lamps that form some kind of moving picture or letters on the facade of this blue bubble.
What really struck me was there was a bit of this culture, kind of a quirky, offbeat in some of the art you would see around. Like I'm still feeling sorry for this, the snowman sculpture you showed me.
Yeah, we have a lot of art in public area, which is an institution that supports placing contemporary art objects in public areas. And so we have this fantastic sculpture of 1992, which we call Lichtschwert, light sword. It's more or less the inner construction of the Statue of Liberty in New York. It's opposite our opera house, which is an old opera house of 1899. So again, old and new. And then we have this art sculpture of the snowman, which gives you contemplation about time and reality. And it has been there since 2004. And after our landmark, the Uhrturm clock tower, it's the second most photographed object in Graz. It's quite interesting. And every year in autumn, around October time, end of September, you have an art festival for modern art. But it's not only painting and sculptures, but it's also discussions, it's music, it's a theater.
I think we need to talk more about the Schlossberg, because this really is the star of the skyline here. Anywhere you are, you can look up and see this impressive hill with a clock tower on it. And as a non-European, I think, it just looks really, European, when you're standing on the top, which we made our way up via the elevator, when you see that clock tower and you're looking out in the city, it was just wonderful. So you just tell us a little bit about that hill and the Schlossberg and how obviously it's a natural feature of landscape, but then how it's been used over the years.
Yeah, it's a dolomite rock. And since the 11th century, it has covered a fortress. At first, a medieval castle, and then a huge fortress. And so it's now a park. It's a recreation area. You have possibilities to eat, to drink. So you have restaurants up there. You have an outdoor stage up there, which used to be the cellar walls of the former house of the commander of the Schlossberg fortress. And you have a rather new Schlossberg Museum. Only for a couple of years it has been there, and it's really a must to go inside, because it gives you an idea how the Schlossberg got used, how it changed, and in which way it's used nowadays. And then we have another thing up there, which is completely brand new. We have a 4D cinema. You can sit in a chair which is moving around, and you can follow the flight route of a fly. across the city. And when the fly dives underneath one of the bridges, you get water into your face. Yeah, so
Really?
it's really funny. And then afterwards, you can, if you dare to, you can use the slide and then slide down for more than 170 meters to the ground.
Take me to a summer night. It's 8 o'clock. The sun's going down. I'm assuming you can see the sunset from the Schlossberg.
Yes. So you have to go up there. Then you have to take a seat. Sorry.
Is it going to be hard to find a seat? Are there going to be that many people there on a summer night?
Yeah. So then, if you don't find a seat in the restaurant up there, which is really very nice, with just behind the clock tower, you can sit on the wall, have your drink with yourself, yeah, brought up there, and then you look westwards and see the sunset. And can listen to the city, how it's changing, the sounds are changing. And then you walk down, or either the stairs, which are 260 steps, really nice to walk up or down. It's easier to go down. And then, or you can use the street on the other side, and following the street, you dive into the lanes of Graz, into the inner city, and you have to look for the Bermuda Triangle. And you have to sit down in one of the beautiful outdoor gardens or gardens of the restaurants, and have a drink, have something to eat. And when the candles are lit, so it's very romantic, I tell you.
Why is it called the Bermuda Triangle? Because people get lost there going out at night?
Yeah, actually, yeah, that's true. There is an area where you have 3 squares and surrounding lanes and more than 20 bars, pubs, and restaurants. And so if you don't say to your friend you want to meet there and there, it may be possible that you never meet, because there are, yeah, that's you get lost in a Bermuda Triangle. You get lost. And there is also a glockenspiel down there, yeah, in this area, which is also very interesting to see. It's only run 3 times a day, and it's always 3 songs. And it was run for the first time in 1905. Just think of that.
I was going to mention the Glockenspiel because I'll admit I was naive. I've always heard of the Glockenspiel in Munich. I didn't know that there was other ones out there. And the one in Graz, when I saw it, it was just as impressive. And it was really, really fun to see it go off. We happened to walk up right at the exact moment it went up.
You're very lucky, because sometimes I see people stand there around the full hour, but it's only running at 11 in the morning and 3 and 6 p.m. And then what's the spectacular and funny thing about it is the doors open, and out comes a couple dressed in Styrian traditional costume, and they are dancing to the sounds of the bells. And there are 24 bells in a small tower, and they weigh 1,000 kilo. Just think of it. This. Wow.
And for people that maybe I skipped over this, but a Glockenspiel, it's like a clock tower. It's got a clock on it, and then funny little characters come out and do a dance, and everybody has a good time.
Yeah, that is. But we have a second Glockenspiel. Did you listen to it? It's on the opposite side of the river. If you follow the street behind the Kunsthaus, you reach a church, and at 4 o'clock in the afternoon there is another Glockenspiel, but it's a modern one, only about 15 years old. Yeah.
So you could do that Glockenspiel. You could walk up to the Schlossberg.
Yeah.
Come down and hit the other Glockenspiel.
Yeah.
So we're up on the Schlossberg. We're watching the sunset. What type of food and drink should we bring with us for our picnic, or seek out at the restaurants on the Schlossberg?
It's for a drink, you should try a Schilcher Frizzante, yeah, because we are in the wine area here in Graz. or to the northern end of a wine area. And we have one special wine that you can only get here, which is the so-called Schilche. It's made out of a red grape, and because of a special procedure, the color of the skin doesn't affect the wine. So it has the color of onion skin or raspberries. And then you should taste a salad with pumpkin seed oil. I say it in German, Vogelsalat. It's very hard to spell, but perhaps you can remember it. And I love it with pumpkin seed oil and with apple vinegar and hard-boiled eggs on it. Oh, it's fantastic, and you don't need anything else. Yeah, but we are also famous for poultry, for steering chicken, and of course you can get Wiener Schnitzel also in Graz. But you should ask for a fried chicken. But we always have to order it in advance, because they cook it just for you. Yeah, they make it just for you at the restaurant.
What is unique about the way they prepare the chicken in Styria?
You have this special crispy fried breadcrumbs on it. It's fantastic, and it has to be not dry, but juicy. Yeah, and so it has to be prepared to the point. Yeah, I would say, or fried to the point. And there is special species of chicken that were bred in Styria to the southern area. And they were that famous that in the 19th century and even 18th century, a lot of people who could afford it imported them in other countries, like Napoleon, for example.
One thing I wanted to talk about too was how there were some moments where you were walking through the courtyards of Graz and little hidden alleyways, and you would look around and you would think you could possibly be in Italy.
Yes.
Like the mausoleum specifically. If you were standing in front of the mausoleum and you put that on Instagram and you said, "Where am I?" I bet you 9 out of 10 people would guess Italy. And why is that?
That's so true. You see, Graz needed new town walls in the 16th century. And the best military architects of those days were the Italians. We called them Welsh, the Welsh people. And they had developed this bastion system building procedure. And so they traveled from the Como Lake as far as St. Petersburg and covered all the works for fortresses or cities. And they stayed here in Graz for about 150 years. And they always brought new ideas of styles. The mausoleum is the end of Renaissance and already the beginning of Baroque. You have both styles in there. So it's so interesting. And you have a lot of places, of squares, of inner courtyards that are very, very Italian.
That was really special to see something that looked like you're in Italy and then walk around the corner and go to a traditional restaurant like Gasthaus Stanzerbauer.
Steinzerbauer, yes, that's very nice. No, it's really a good place to go to, and they have a fabulous wine cellar as well. So perhaps you try to be nice to the waiter and ask him, "Could you just show me the wine cellar? May I have a look at it?" And in summertime, they're always outside in the inner courtyard. And in winter time, they're inside.
Yes, we were there in winter, and yes, it had that true feeling of coziness and, you know, warmth that only like a traditional family-run, you know, restaurant has that feel. And that was a really great place. I definitely recommend that to anyone.
And there is another thing in Graz. You have the surrounding hills, and there you can go hiking. and there are always nice places to stop and eat something, and you can use public transport to reach these hiking trails. It's really nice.
That's something I should have mentioned as well, talking about the Schlossberg, that you're not just looking at the town, there are mountains. And it's always nice for the romantic vibes to see mountains. Now, what about weightlifting? Because isn't there somebody from Graz who people might have heard of before, who used to lift weights but then got into government and acting?
Yes, you're so right. That's Arnold Schwarzenegger. And there is a new thing also perhaps for you, because a little bit outside of Graz, not far away, still being part of Graz, but just over the hill is Thal. Yeah, it's a place where he got born. And his first house where he was born and lived is now an Arnold Schwarzenegger Museum. And there is a very nice lake there and a pond, and a new restaurant got built up there. And there is a bus line taking you out there. And it's quite interesting because he was very diligent. He came from a poor family, and he started to practice very eagerly. And he made it possible that weightlifting, no, I have to correct you, bodybuilding got very important. But because at first, when he started, it was just shown in back rooms of restaurants or whatever, and he brought it onto the big stages.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform.
Yeah, we talked a good amount about Graz, but let's talk about Europe. I'm going to ask you, if you could go anywhere in Europe, you could go 3 places, you could design your dream trip, money's no object. Where would you like to go in Europe if I set you off on the trip?
One of my dream cities is Venice. Venice, and I would suggest you Venice in November. Because then there are not that many tourists, and then you have this special atmosphere, which is it's like a dream. And then you go to those beautiful churches, and you go to the museums, and you see all these pieces of art. You get a shiver when you read the names of these fantastic painters or sculptures, and then you sit somewhere at the quay and have a drink and have the sunset, or you sit in a vaporetto and go around it, or go to Murano or Burano. It's fantastic. So it's one of my favorite cities. But I also love the north. Yeah, it's also interesting. For me, Belgium is a fantastic place. Belgium, with all these old cities like Ghent, Brugge, Leuven, or Maastricht. But you also have to see the combination with the other countries. And that is, for me, such an advantage to travel there, go to different countries where you only have different countries, but originally it was one region, or it belonged together. And meanwhile, you don't need different currencies, but you have the same euro everywhere, which is really great. I love Denmark. It's also a terrific place to go to. What I love in Denmark is that you see this design, this Scandinavian design, those many bikes. If you go to Copenhagen, you have these fancy buildings there of contemporary architecture, and I'm also into music and culture. Yeah, I forgot to mention it here in Graz. It's also worth a visit, the theater and the opera house. But I also love other places. Berlin, Or Berlin, you could spend weeks there. I've been there very, very often, and I keep discovering new places. And it's always a must to go to the Philharmonic theater there. It's a must.
No, we can only do three. This is
Oh,
three
we can
places.
only do three. Oh. So Venice, okay, Venice, okay, Berlin, yeah, yeah. Let's say Copenhagen.
So
And
you're gonna leave off the Belgians.
Yeah, because you said one place. No, let's say Belgium. Let's say Belgium. Yeah,
Okay,
so
hopefully no one in Copenhagen will hear this and get upset.
No, because you can't just go from one place to the next. Yeah. Also, Copenhagen is great, but Berlin, Belgium, and Venice.
I have to agree with you on Venice. The first time I was ever there, I didn't even see it when it was light out. It was in November.
Yeah.
I had traveled all day from Switzerland, and I arrived in Venice probably about 6 p.m. I had one night just to wander around, empty, the whole thing, and then left the next morning very early on a train to head to Munich. My wife and I, Julia and I, came back on an August weekend. It was a 3-day weekend.
Wow.
Exactly. And so I have to totally agree that November is a month. I know they have trouble with flooding sometimes in November. But Venice, I totally agree with you on that. It's really touristy and it's very busy, but it's always easy if you just go down one side street, you can lose the crowds.
Yes, and you always have to keep to areas which are a little bit off the touristic tracks, and there are enough of them. Yeah, and then you are among locals, and I would never travel to Italy by car, to Venice by car, never ever, yeah, it's so good to arrive there, and then you take a vaporetto or you take your luggage and go to your place. Within 10 minutes, you're in the next hotel or whatever, yeah, or
And we should
Airbnb.
and we should probably note that Venice is somewhere that is a good place to probably combine with Graz.
Yes, yeah. You can just start with Venice and then go to Graz.
What cities would you say make good combinations with Graz? We've mentioned Venice.
Yeah. Another city would be Ljubljana, which is not far away. It's about 2 hours drive. It's really a great place, and it also has connections with Graz, architectural wise, because the main architect who made Ljubljana into this charming place of nowadays, he studied in Graz. And you see, you also have a hill with a fortress on top down there, and there is also a river. But there is more Art Nouveau in Ljubljana than in Graz. And another place which you could combine with Graz perfectly would be Trieste. If you want to see old Austria, go to Trieste. If you want to hear more about Habsburgs, go to Miramare Palace. And you have this, you have the sea, and you have these fantastic restaurants and the beautiful squares. Piazza dell'Unità is there in Trieste. And you really have buildings that look as if they were in Vienna. Yeah, it was the same time it prospered, Trieste.
And this is all reachable by train as well.
Yes.
Because, the podcast is Rails, Ales, and Old Towns. We really want to tell everyone to take the train and how fun it is. If people are going to go from Vienna to Graz, about the train journey that you take.
By the way, this railway line is fantastic because it's the oldest mountain railway line in the world. And it was built in the mid-19th century. And there is a place called Semmering, which used to be one resort for all rich and famous people of Vienna and all the other main cities. And there used to be huge hotels. And in the course of the years, and it's still carrying on, they get an uplifting. So they already started to renovate the first one, and they are going to the next. And a Graz-bound hotel owner, he bought one of these old hotels, and he wants to transform it into a new place, but with the old atmosphere. And what they have also at the Semmering is that they offer culture. They have performings of theater, of plays, and so on.
I was really glad when we stopped at Semmering on the train from Vienna, because I really like to sit in the dining car and have a coffee. And the dining car was packed. But then when we got to Semmering, everybody got off.
Yeah, no, it's really beautiful, a beautiful place.
All right.
Yeah.
Sigrid, thanks so much for coming on and talking to me about Graz. And I'm really looking forward to getting back there. Maybe summertime this time and sit on top of the Schlossberg.
And this time you call me and we have a drink up there.
That sounds wonderful.
So.
All right. Thanks again, and all the best.
All the best to you as well. Thank you.
Vážení cestující,